Okay, so for today's lesson, what we are going to do is learn how to fit a line to data. We're really talking about scatter plots here. We'll do them by hand, but then I'll show you how to do them on the graphing calculator. So a scatter plot is just a graph that is used to determine whether or not there is a relationship between paired data. So correlation is the relationship that happens between the two data sets. So when we talk about the two data sets, we've got independent variables as well as dependent variables. Independent is the input variable, which is always plotted on the x-axis. The dependent variable is the output variable, which is always plotted on the y-axis. I believe when you guys were in science, you learned that you could always draw an I for your x-axis, that's your independent, and then you could always use your y-axis to draw a D for dependent. Okay, so that might be helpful as well. Well, scatter plots can show three different kinds of correlations. So correlations are how the independent and the dependent values relate to one another. The positive correlation is shown in this first graph because the data points, if you look from left to right, kind of go up. That will be a positive correlation. So what's happening is as x increases, y also increases. So that's a positive correlation. The second data plot that shows the negative correlation, from left to right, the trend of the points goes down. So x is still increasing here. So as x increases, right, because you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, your y value decreases. Because remember, you're starting up here, let's say at 10, and as you go over, you're dropping down, okay? There might be little or no correlation in this last plot here because the x and the y's are so scattered. So there is no relation between x and y. So x and y are not related. You can't really think of a scenario where you're going to have a situation that looks like this. Okay. Well, you should be able to create your own scatter plots and determine what kind of correlations exist, if any. So you'll be plotting in your ordered pair when x is 0, y is 2. So it looks like we've got over here 0, 2, and then when x is 1, y is 3.5. When x is 1 again, y is 2.5. I am not oriented like I never am though. When x is 2, y is 3.5. When x is 4, y is 4. When x is 5, y is 5. When x is 6, y is 5. So when you plot those points, if you look at the general trend from left to right would be a positive correlation. As x goes up, y goes up. For the most part, not always, but the trend. If you now were to go to plot this one, this talks about the median age of women at the time of their first marriage, and it's already labeled for you everything. It has a title, it has your x-axis labeled, has your y-axis labeled. So all you need to do is basically just kind of plot some points. So what's going to happen here is in 1890, the age was 22. Which again, I'm not oriented, so don't mind that. In 1900, it was 21.9, which is down there a little bit. 1910 was 21.6. This is not right. At 1900, 21.9 would be more up here, sorry. And in 1910, 21.6, a little bit lower. Again, I'm not oriented. 1920 is 21.2. 1930 is 21.3. 1940 is 21.5. 1950 is 20.2. 1960 was also 20.2. 1970 was 20.9. 1980 was 22. And 1990 was 23.9. So as you're looking at this one, I would say there's probably not much of a correlation because from left to right, you sort of, and I'll use a highlighter here, it kind of sort of goes down a little bit and then kind of moves up, and there's not really a general trend here. So I would say for this one, this would be little or no correlation. Okay. So again, you should be able to plot the points on your own, but what's also pretty neat is you can do these things on the calculator as well. So I'm going to go back to this first example, and I'm going to pull out the graphing calculator. You've got a list of instructions, and I'm only going to do it for this first one that you should be able to follow along with. So what happens here is your instructions will tell you, and I'm going to I'll put the instruction sheet up actually. I think I have that. Okay, let me get this in a full page. I can't do the calculator at the same time, so let me back out and let me get the calculator. Not here, here. Okay, so the idea is the first thing that you need to do to enter the data is to press stat and then edit, and then you're going to clear list if necessary by pressing clear and arrowing down, not deleting, and then you're going to repeat for list 2, enter the data for list 1 and list 2. Let's just get into the calculator real fast. So I'm going to go to y equals. I'm going to go to turn my calculator on, I'm sorry. I'm going to go to stat, which is here, and I'm going to go to edit, which is the first choice. I've got these lists up here, list 1 and list 2. I've got nothing in my lists, but assuming I had some stuff in the lists, what it's saying to you to do is to clear all your lists. And by clearing, it says you're going to arrow up on top of the list till you highlight it, hit the word clear, and then arrow down. Don't delete your list, clear your list. So I'm going to go to my list 2, arrow on top of list 2, hit clear, and arrow down. So what has to happen is you need to make your lists. And your list 1 is always everything that's in the X. So for my list 1, I'm going to type in 0. I'm using this first graph. 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. Hitting enter after each time. Now again, what I'm doing is I'm copying this particular grid. So I'll put the calculator back up. I'm going to arrow over to list 2. And in list 2, I'm going to type in my values 2, 3.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4, 5, and 5. So I've got my lists match up. I'm going to double check. 1, let me go all the way back up. So 1 should actually have a 2. So I did something wrong here. No, I didn't. So I've got 0, 2. 1 is 3.5. The next one was 2.5, 2, 3.5, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 5. So that's good. I'm going to go back to my notes for a second. In order to create a scatter plot, what I need to now do is this whole part. So I'm going to go to second y equals. Let me get my calculator back up here. Let's go up. So it says go to second y equals, which is stat plot. So second y equals. It says turn plot 1 on, make sure all the others are off. Right now plot 1 isn't on, so I'm going to hit enter on that. And then I'm going to arrow over to where it says on. It's already blinking on that, and I'm going to just hit on. So now I'm blinking on the on. Select type 1, which is what we've already done. It's a first type. You don't really touch anything here. Your X list is coming from list 1. Your Y list is coming from list 2, and keep the markings the way that it is. The fourth bullet says clear all y equals functions. If I go to y equals, there's nothing in my y equals, but notice that my plot 1 is highlighted, and it should be. And then it says do zoom stat, which is choice 9, then graph. So I'm going to go to zoom. I'm going to go down to choice 9, which is zoom stat. Choice 9, and I'm going to hit enter, or you could hit graph. And this should look just like what we did on the other page. Let me go back over here, back over here. Okay, and this looks just like what we did for our scatter plot. Sorry. Okay, and that's it. So feel free to try the next one on your own. When you do the next one, what you're going to have to do is go back to the beginning, and you're going to have to clear all your data. So you have to clear those lists and then enter everything in. And then you're going to have to do this next step all over again. So then you got to make your scatter plot. This will already be done. This will already be done. This will already be done. And this will already be done. But when you do the second one with the marriages, you've got to do the zoom 9 again. Okay? And then that is it for today. Okay? So good luck. Bye.